Whichever way you slice it, Cozy Grove looks delightful. It has an art style that seems to be an amalgamation of Don't Starve and Animal Crossing, and gameplay that isn't too far away from that. It launched with numerous bugs and issues, but has since seen a couple of patches to at least make it playable. And I have to say, from us at SwitchUp, a big thanks to all those new subscribers. You're most welcome. But does Cozy Grove live up to its name, or end up being an entirely uncomfortable experience? Well, let's find out. As far as storyline goes, you take on the role of a new spirit scout, arriving at the island for the first time, where you'll meet your guide, Flamey, who is essentially your campfire. He'll dish out your first few tasks and send you wandering around the island, meeting ghost bears, each of whom have their own backstories and who you'll be working for the next 40 or so hours. Don't worry, you won't have some extortionate fee placed over your head from the get-go, like some games, but you also cannot rush through the storyline, as we'll go into in the gameplay section. Despite the cutesy visuals, I really enjoy the way the story plays out in each of these different ghosts, and you unlock over 17 of these as you play through. You'll literally be spending months with these characters, and by the end of your time with the game, you may feel quite attached. As far as gameplay and controls go, you control your character with the left stick. You can run by holding down the B button, and then A is used for harvesting using shovels, pickaxes, and machetes. There are also a number of other tools which you'll acquire as you go throughout the game. The main gameplay loop sees you trying to get spirit logs for your friend Flamey. Once you've stoked him with one of these logs, he'll then unlock a new part of the island and a new friend. This grows the island and also unlocks new missions. Ergo, the more spirit logs he gets as you play the game, the more there is to do. Of the various different spirit ghosts you'll meet, there are a few different tasks to undertake, and again, as you progress through the game, these get more complex. This is where the first issue creeps in though. Around 50% of those will be fetch quests of the nature, go and find this, it's somewhere on the island, or find 3 of these, or fetch 4 of those. There's a hint system on the right hand side of the screen, but the questing there reduces the game essentially to a hidden adventure title. And while it's not overly taxing for the most part, it's also not incredibly enjoyable. Now that being said, there's something about the pacing and structure of this one that works despite its flaws. It runs on a real-time day and night system, whereby whatever time it is in the real world will be reflected on the screen. This affects the time of day in game, the music, but also there are limits on the amount you can do each day. Flamey requires more and more spirit logs each time, so whereas he'll start off just needing 1 and then he'll be able to unlock a new area, then it's 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and after a couple he'll say, sorry, you'll have to come back tomorrow, and he means tomorrow. The developers designed the title to be played out over days. Essentially, putting 30 to 60 minutes in each day is the way it was designed. And look, it is enjoyable. I do really enjoy picking it up, just diving in for 60, doing all of the things there are to do on that day, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm also someone that doesn't have time to wait around. So I did find myself adjusting the date a day forward and then just continuing. Whether or not this is going to totally destroy my save file at some point remains to be seen. Despite appearances, there are no threats to your character in Cozy Grove. There are strange ghostly apparitions moving around, but they'll cause you no harm and simply disappear upon approach. There is a crafting system, and you can find many items and structures that can be placed by the player. This is another issue I have with Cozy Grove, and it's how imprecise the placement can be. You essentially throw items onto the ground, but even when your cursor is lined up in the exact spot you want, like placing a fence, it won't go where you've placed it. Then, and this might seem slightly pedantic, but you go to rotate the furniture to face away from the screen, and it can only go in those 2 directions. I found this a little bit irritating. If you're someone who's happy to dip in and dip out on a daily basis, I actually think you'll really enjoy Cozy Grove if you're a fan of this style of game. Where it really excels and shines is in its characters, and knowing that the number of players that you meet is only going to grow the longer you play, and with each of them so well written, it genuinely feels like you're visiting old friends as you move around your island. And I've had quite a few laugh out loud moments already with the dialogue. Other things are here that you'd expect, things like a mailbox system where you'll receive new letters each day, different things to keep you essentially clocking in, and there's an overarching aim to bring light back to the world. You can craft and build lampposts or purchase them in the shop, and when you light up an area, this then allows you to gather from that spot. Now you can do some gathering from the uncolored areas, but you'll find more when they're lit up. It ties into the narrative as well of returning this island to its former glory, and it's a nice visual and metaphoric aspect to Cozy Grove. Overall then, Cozy Grove plays out like a more simplified Animal Crossing. If you're looking for fast-paced combat or a huge variety of different things to do, then this isn't the one for you. If, however, you want the relaxed pace, the small daily dip in, then there's certainly something for you here. It just feels to me like they could go for a little bit more refinement, 30% more Stardew Valley, and they'd be onto a winner. I give gameplay 14 out of 20, and the controls, as imprecise as they can be, score 13 out of 20. Visually, I think Cozy Grove is an absolute stunner. Artistically, it looks fantastic. Unfortunately, it is plagued by a number of technical issues. I believe this may have something to do with the way the Switch runs the software this is built on, but it has seen some patches since launch to at least make it a playable experience. Frame rates are okay, although you'll notice the occasional dips. It's more the draw distance that's the real eyesore, with the world almost growing as you move around. It just needs a little bit more work. Load times have been improved since launch, and the characters have wonderful designs. I love the way they warp from their ghostly forms into their original selves when you complete tasks for them, and then there's a burst of colour that fills an area. The way the audio is tied to the visual is spot on. As far as the soundtrack goes, this has a beautiful melodic soundtrack that's certainly easy to listen to. It is a bit of a small musical loop. That's to say, you will hear some repetition. And while I loved the sound of it, I did find myself lowering the musical volume just so that it didn't become an irritation. There's HD rumble here, which is nice. It's generally only applied to a few small things, like when a fish bites on your line or when first casting out. There are a number of different weather effects in the game, and it's always nice when you get to create your own character. Visuals and performance score 14 out of 20, and audio scores 16 out of 20. Now, Cozy Grove is only going to set you back £10.99 at launch. However, there is a price reduction at the moment of 10% until the 14th, which takes it down to £9.89, and it's absolutely worth that price. As an Animal Crossing Lite with a few different elements and some lovely characters to meet, I think it's worth this price. Yes, there are caveats, and sure, the gameplay is not the most complex or the best in its class, but I've had a relaxing and enjoyable time with it, and for £10, I wouldn't be too upset if I'd laid down my money on this one. It has a download size of 942 megs, so it's not going to take up too much of your space, and is fully Switch Lite compatible. It just needed a little bit more variety, and perhaps an option for those people that don't have the time to play day by day and don't particularly want to change the time on their Switch. But if that stuff doesn't bother you, then working through the 40-hour story is going to be an enjoyable and pleasant time. Overall, I give value 16 out of 20. Despite not offering quite the variety of its competition, Cozy Grove offers good value and is quite literally the antithesis of the other game I'm playing through at the moment, Monster Hunter Rise, and that's just fine by me. It's nice to have the balance. It scores a SwitchUp score of 73%. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I really wanted to give this one the time it needed, so hopefully some of you are interested in it. Make sure you subscribe if you enjoy the content, and a big thanks to our patrons who support us each and every month. If you want to do that, all the links are down in the description. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya!